please be seated. Again, good evening and welcome to the EMS Academy graduation. My name is Jessie Kingston. I am the Director for the Department of Human Rights and Equal Economic Opportunity. Tonight, we are graduating the 12th class from the EMS Academy, celebrating 19 young adults who persevered through 10 weeks of intensive training. They spent more than 240 hours in class and countless hours studying outside of the classroom. These young adults learned about anatomy, physiology, and how to assess and provide treatment in emergencies. This evening, we have a number of distinguished guests who would like to celebrate these accomplishments with you. Although they may not be in the classroom, they have worked behind the scenes to make this program possible. Our first guest had a vision for a diversified workforce in St. Paul. He envisioned a city staff that is reflective of its residents. He pictured a city where the outcome of its people could not be predetermined by race. He has worked tirelessly toward the vision, and as a result, every department in the city now has a strategic plan for racial equity. We did not get to this point overnight. Rather, we took steps one day at a time. One of those first steps was the inception of the EMS Academy in 2009. With that, please welcome Mayor Chris Coleman.
Thank you, Jessie. Thank you so much. It is just great to be here and to see these 19 individuals who are the graduating class. This is a series of graduations. I'm trying to even remember how many classes we've graduated now, but the 19 that we had here tonight make a total of 212 folks that have gone through the EMS Academy. Those are 212 people who have had a door open to them that it maybe was previously closed. 212 people that saw a path forward where there may have been none. 212 people that now have the skill sets that they need to be successful in life, to have a career, whether that is ultimately in the St. Paul Fire Department. You're going to hear from one of the graduates of the EMS Academy who has become the first member of the St. Paul Fire Department. We have 4 fire medic cadets that are in the program this year that are on a pathway to being a part of the St. Paul Fire Department. We're going to continue to grow that program as the years go forward. This is an amazing partnership that we have had. We have, of course, the partnership with the St. Paul Fire Department itself, the St. Paul Department of Human Rights and Equal Economic Opportunity, led by Jessie Kingston. We have the St. Paul Public Schools Adult Basic Educational Community Education Partners. We have Fast Track, Inver Hills Community College. I'm sure I'm forgetting some partners, but the fact of the matter is this would simply not be possible were it not for all the folks in this room, all the partners that we have at the table to make this possible. I was struck yesterday as I was watching the news. If you had an opportunity to see the coverage of the incident that happened over in France this last week, where a gunman was about to open fire and prepared to do a lot of damage and potentially kill a lot of folks that were on that train. And 3 young American men that were traveling in Europe saw what was happening, turned to each other and said, "Let's go." And they got up, put themselves at risk, ran to the front of the train, grabbed a hold of this individual, and ultimately were able to subdue him. During the course of that process, one of the individual was able to fire off 1 bullet. It ended up striking someone in the neck, and also this individual took out a knife, and one of the people that was rushing to the scene, one of the young Americans, ended up almost having his thumb completely severed. He was there bleeding. He continued to wrestle with this individual and ultimately rendered aid to the person who had been shot in the neck. Literally, and for those of you that don't like gore, he literally put his finger into the bullet hole in this gentleman's neck, was able to stop the bleeding, and as a result of that, saved that individual's life. Why do I tell you that story other than the fact that it represents incredible heroism on the part of those 3 individuals? Ultimately, that story is, whether that plays out exactly in that fashion or in some other fashion, when you take these classes, when you become ultimately a member of the St. Paul Fire Department, when you have the skill sets and the training, it may well be that you will be called into action, that you will be called into the breach, that you will be called to rely on your training to save someone's life. And it will be traumatic, it will be scary, But hopefully, because of your training here, it will be automatic. You will know what to do, you will rush into the breach, and you will save someone's life. When you think about it that way, what you have had through this training is truly a gift, because you now have the gift to be there when someone is most in need. But most importantly, you have chosen to walk through that door. You've chosen to take that action. You don't have to be there. On that train, there were other people that saw what was going on, and they chose not to act. They chose to run, or they chose to hide. But then there were, luckily, 3 individuals that were willing to rush into the breach. That's what heroism is about. But there are little acts of heroism on a daily basis. And at some point in your future, I suspect that each of you will have an opportunity to rely on your training. Perhaps and hopefully not in such dramatic circumstances. Although it looked like they got a pretty nice dinner at the French president's house, so that would be good. But hopefully you'll never be in quite that grave a danger and in that situation. But I know that because of your training and because your willingness to go through this program and the hard work that this program takes, that if that situation were to arrive, that you would be prepared to render the same aid that that individual rendered to that person who had been shot. I congratulate you for that. There are a lot of turning points in everyone's life in the road where people can choose this direction or that direction. You have chosen a direction that is not easy. You have gone through a course that is hard, but you have done that. And tonight, we graduate you. You join the other men and women that have been through this course. You join a member of one of your predecessors who's now a member of the St. Paul Fire Department, who you will hear from a little bit later. But most importantly, you're part of the St. Paul family, and I congratulate you for that. Thank you for taking that step. Thank you for choosing to be a graduate of the EMS Academy. This is a great program, and as Jesse Kingston said, it's a reflection of the best of our community. And it's a program that steps up and says that every person in our community is valuable and every person in our community has to have a path forward. This is a great program, and it's becoming a model for other communities, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. But mostly, I'm proud of you. Congratulations, graduates.
Since 2009, 12 classes have graduated from this program, and as Mayor Coleman mentioned, over 212 students, exactly 212 students have been part of this program. Of those 212 students, 70 have registered for classes at Inver Hills after they've completed their classes with us at the EMS program. For us, it's a part of being a community college. The important part of that word is community. For us, we strive to be part of the life and culture of the communities where our students live, and this is especially true of the St. Paul EMS program. This wonderful program is an extension of our commitment to the greater community to provide it with the best possible career opportunities for our students and to be part of the community in terms of service. There's no, as Mayor Coleman said, there may be no greater cause than those that serve others and risk their lives to do it. We are thrilled to be part of this program. We look forward to many more years of partnership with the city and the people of St. Paul and the fire departments here in St. Paul and the emergency programs throughout the area. Without the help of a lot of people at Inver Hills, this wouldn't be possible. So I'm going to quickly name some folks that are not sitting down here tonight and thank them for their help. First of all, Chris Hansen, who's someplace in this building, who structures the classes, schedules them, and works with St. Paul in a way that we would never get this done otherwise. She's one of those behind-the-scenes people that makes it possible for us to do this program every single year since 2009. Dean Lynn Wittstein and Dave Bellows, part of the Inver Hills community in terms of administration, make sure that everything in terms of the instructors, faculty interactions with the St. Paul Fire Department work well. Our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Christine Royal, sitting back there with the other two deans, oversees the academic part of this because these people are taking classes that have a significant academic part to it. Those of you that are family and friends have probably already heard from these graduates how hard it is to pass what they've done. Tons of memorization, thousands of pages of material, and if it wasn't for working in teams and the wonderful folks sitting back here, this would not be possible for them to move forward. With all that in mind, we're thrilled that we have the opportunity to work with the City of St. Paul. We're thrilled that we have a chance to be a part of diversifying the community workforce and making sure that folks have a chance to live and work and be successful in these counties, Ramsey, Dakota, and Scott. And with that, we're just looking forward to moving this partnership forward. And we're really, really happy that one of our own is now a member of the St. Paul Fire Department. Thank you for coming tonight. I hope you enjoy the ceremony and get a chance to congratulate your graduates afterwards. They have done a tremendous thing by being here tonight.
Good evening. I'm Foster Johns. Greetings to the graduates, to the City of St. Paul, the St. Paul Fire Department. There's so many of us, all y'all out there. Welcome. Yes, as Jesse mentioned, that's what I did. I did a lot of data entry. I did a lot of. I got so excited every time I got to come to the classroom and see you in person and not on a spreadsheet, just see you in the flesh. A lot of it was about eligibility, and I'll talk a little bit about what eligibility has come to mean to me later. But first, I just want to say that I want to thank you so much, and I want to thank everyone at the Academy for having me for the last 18 months. To be honest, as Jesse mentioned, I am going away for a year. I'm going to grad school. I'm excited, but I don't know if I would have even applied if it wasn't working for this program. I was watching young men and women coming in and wanting to improve their lives and serve people, and I said, I want to do that. I want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do what you guys do. It's amazing. Props. But I want to continue. And so working for this program and watching how hard you work has inspired me to do that. So thank you from the bottom of my heart for carrying me to that point. One of my favorite things about the Academy is seeing the connections that the students make with each other. When they form those groups for the afternoon skills, having to do the hard work that's entailed, it's inspiring to see those kind of connections being made. And it really makes me excited for the connections that you make with those that you serve out there. I think that's been one of the most meaningful things, that it's not just a job, it's really wanting to help people from the bottom of your heart in the best way you know how. I'll wrap this up real quick. I just wanted to, I'm really honored to be invited to speak and share these words, but I think one thing I wanted to share is, as you know, I was the guy who would send all those emails when you're applying, you need this paperwork and not that paperwork. You actually need to be there at this time and not that time. You do need to go to orientation. So patience, it's wonderful, isn't it? I learning that. But one of the things that I had to keep emailing about is eligibility. To be in this program, you do have to meet certain requirements in order to participate. And after leaving the EMS Academy last month, I was just kind of driving around, and when I was asked to speak, I was like, what does eligible mean? You say a word so much, you write it so many times in an email, you almost forget what the word means. You know the sense of it. You know the underlying root of it. So I looked it up, and the first definition I found was meet the stipulated requirements as to participate, compete, or work. Qualified. Now, not a really exciting definition. It's really just, hey, you meet the standard, you can come in, and that's, as you know, what you needed to do to come and play. Then I saw a second definition, and I liked this one way better. It was fit or proper to be chosen, worthy of choice, desirable. I think that's what you 19 folks are. You're worthy of choice. You're desirable to our community. You were already desirable to our community, but now even more so. You get to serve, and you get to really play a crucial role in keeping people well. Fit or proper to be chosen. I look at this group and I see that. And the word that pops out in that definition as I read it is worthy. I hope the 19 of you feel worthy. Not only worthy of this new career that you're embarking on, but just worthy of all that the future holds for you. And I'm so, so proud of you guys. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Foster. You know, it's a really incredible thing to be desired and wanted. A couple months ago, I was at a party in which someone went into cardiac arrest. And as we were waiting for first responders to come, I'm thinking, okay, I know enough to check for the pulse. I know how to check for breathing. But a huge sigh of relief overcame me when the first responders came in. They were firefighters, they were EMTs, and they took over and knew exactly what to do in that moment. And it's a moment where many of us sit there and say, what am I going to do? And yet you guys are the ones that we will be looking to come rushing in and take over. And you should be incredibly proud of all of the work that you have done to get to this point. But I know that you guys have had a little bit of help on this journey. And so I would like to have Kathy Bjornson come on up, who helped with coaching you, to say a few words. And Ken Adams.
Ken and I work as a team, so to be up here together. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, graduates. By way of explanation, I'm an adult basic education instructor through the Hub Center, which is through the city of St. Paul Public Schools. I've had the privilege of co-teaching this class with Mike Morlock, who couldn't be here tonight, Kayla Ludden, and Captain Ken Adams. While they teach the content of how to be an EMT, I integrate study skills, test-taking skills, time management, things like that. And oh yeah, how to stay focused. When I looked at the list tonight, I couldn't help but notice the last two names, Dio and Liz, were going to be sitting next to each other. And I thought, oh man, I wonder this will be the ultimate test if they cannot talk while I'm talking. And then as they walked across the stage, I see Paggia in between them, and I'm thinking, that could not have been a mistake. But you guys are doing a great job, and thankfully, Macio's last name starts with an H, and he's nowhere near them. Okay. I also wanted to take a moment to say how thrilled I am that Dorwin, who will be speaking up here, is here tonight. He was sitting there just 2 years ago. He and past graduates such as Kayla, Tiana, yeah, even Jeremy, Ulitzer, Nick, okay, just to name a few, are now taking leadership roles in the St. Paul Fire Department. But let's get on why we're here tonight, the current graduates, okay? The students took their final exam last Friday. It's 200 questions and covers all the material from the 10-week course. If they don't pass it, they don't qualify to take the national certification exam to become an EMT. I was in the office with one of the students while the last two students were finishing the exam. They had been at it for 4 hours. Both of these students had faced the challenge of English not being their first language. And even though they had excellent practical skills and knew the content well, this was a FSDAP test. Right? And for family and friends in the audience, I'm quite sure you may have heard your graduate use maybe some colorful language in describing the challenging wording of FSDAP exams. Okay? All of a sudden, Paji and I heard this incredible noise. And we weren't sure if it was shrieks of joy or if a cat just killed a raccoon outside. The two students had just finished the exam at the same time, and they had passed with flying colors. You could just hear the cheers echo down the hallway as the other students, realized that they had passed. And all 19 students that took the final exam passed. And that is a rare thing. That is incredible, yes. And as you all know out there, each graduate on this stage has had his or her share of challenges during the academy. At least a third of the students grew up where English was not the primary language spoken in their home. There were deaths in the family during this academy, housing issues, struggling with balancing family, work, and school. Okay. I want to take a moment to acknowledge Dugan McGraw. Dugan, are you out there? If you are, please stand up. Dugan, way in the back, being humble. Hey, Dugan works for Community Action Partnership, and he has spent countless hours with the students eliminating these potential barriers to success. Dugan is one of the many reasons that there are so many graduates on this stage tonight. Thanks, Dugan. Okay. I wish I could talk about every one of you individually, because I'm so proud of each one of you in your own way, right? For different reasons, okay? But there's cake waiting, so congratulations to all of you. You should be extremely proud of what you've accomplished tonight. Good luck in whatever goal you set for yourselves next. I know you'll succeed at it. And I look forward to seeing some of you back as BLS employees at the Freedom House, and hopefully as speakers at future graduations like Dorwin. Now I'd like to introduce Captain Ken Adams.
So good evening. It was my pleasure to help out with this academy. I played a small part. Mike Morlock, who could not be here, Kayla Ledden, who is sitting here, they played huge parts in helping teach you guys. One of the things we start out every morning with is a word of motivation. Somebody will have a motivation, they'll get up and they'll get to give it. Well, the other day, I didn't realize the list had run out, so I called for motivation. Nobody stood up, so I gave you guys a motivation, right? I said, you'll never know when this will happen or when you will need your skills. The mayor kind of stole my thunder. I'll give you something that happened here in St. Paul. The night after I gave you that motivation, I was driving down the freeway and heard a call come over that there was a rollover on the freeway. State trooper said we had one person who was out of the vehicle on the ground and another person who was in the vehicle unconscious. So I was the first EMS to get there because I happened to be on the freeway, pulled up. State troopers crawled under the car helping the person who was unconscious. I crawled under there with them, check that out, get out and take a look at the person who's laying there on the ground. And a gal who graduated last semester from the EMS Academy was holding C-spine. She just happened to be coming along, saw what happened, got out, told the trooper she's an EMT, she could help. And he said, by all means, please do. She had no idea that that was going to happen to her that night. She had no plans of going out and helping a state trooper in the middle of I-94 at 2 o'clock in the morning take care of somebody. But she did because she was capable, she was desirable, she was willing to step forward and say, I will do that. You guys don't know when it's going to happen, but I promise you it will happen and you will make a difference in somebody's life. Congratulations, I am so very proud of every one of you.
Good evening, family and friends. Thank you all for joining us today to celebrate this moment with our graduates. The last 10 weeks was probably the longest 10 weeks of our lives, but yet our journey just started. Being accepted to the academy was one thing, but being in the academy with other individuals was quite an experience. You get to know one another, share goals and dreams, and what it would be like to save lives. Also, you learn what is needed in a family and how to work like a family, and what others expect you as an EMT. For some of us, we're the first in a family to accomplish a career in EMS. For others, it's another accomplishment. Either way, it does not end here. When you've got bigger plans that no one understands, you've got a shot. I'm sure we all believed in ourselves to have made it this far. My advice to our future EMT is, we've survived the academy, so therefore we can survive through anything. Congrats to Summer 2015 EMS Academy. Good luck to every single one of you on your journeys. Thank you, and I'm going to turn this over to Thule.
Hello everyone, thank you for attending tonight and celebrating with us our big achievement. I'd like to start off by sharing our experience in the 2015 EMS Summer Academy. When we first sorry. When we first started, it was a lot of, we were really overwhelmed by how much work we had to do. A lot of students dropped out within the first 2 weeks. As time went by, more and more people dropped out. As further we went down the road, the stress increased, but nothing stopped us. This academy was absolutely no joke. Most of us stayed hours and hours after class to get work done. Some of us, we started at 8:30 in the morning until 10 p.m. We even came in on our days off just to put in extra work. Some of us thought about quitting multiple times. Even I did, even Gia did, but we were strong enough to say no and stick it through. We all learned how to sacrifice things in the process, such as our jobs, times with friends and family. For some people, the hardest thing was to sacrifice time with their kids. But you know what? Last Friday, I think it was all worth it. Seeing the faces of everybody in this academy, it wasn't the look of luck or chance. It was a look of sacrifice, hard work, determination, and success. I honestly can trust every single one of these individuals with my life. We came so far within these 10 weeks. We didn't know how to do CPR when we entered the academy. Look at us now. We could tie tourniquets, bring someone out of cardiac arrest, and properly ventilate someone. We have the abilities to save someone's life. We have the ability to change our communities. We have the difference. We can make a difference. Sorry. Congratulations, guys. We did it.
I would now like to introduce our next speaker, who is a 2013 graduate of the EMS Academy. He has worked on the BLS ambulance and finished his education as a paramedic at Inver Hills Community College earlier this spring. And just a few weeks ago, he became our first EMS Academy alum to become a St. Paul firefighter. I am thrilled to present Dorwin Bishop to come up here and speak this evening to all of you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for being out here today. I ask that you bear with me. I've tried to pack the last 2 years into this speech here, so it's a doozy. Okay, so welcome everyone to the 12th graduating class of the EMS Academy. Before I move on, I'd like to take the time now to just thank everyone who make this moment possible every year. The St. Paul Fire Department, the St. Paul Department of Human Rights and Equal Economic Opportunities, St. Paul Parks and Rec, Inver Hills Community College, St. Paul Public Schools Hub Center, Community Action Partnership of Ramsey and Washington Counties, and the Southern Minnesota Regional Legal Services. I'd also like to thank the instructors of this academy, Kathy Bjornson, Mike Morlock, Ann Zimmerman, Jim Horn, Captain Ken Adams, and Fire Medic Cadet Kayla Ludden. They've spent the last 10 weeks shaping and mentoring these 19 individuals who've all now been cleared to take their national registry so that they can become official EMTs in the very near future. So congratulations to them. All right, let's see. I would thank you, the family, friends, loved ones, and the guests of these 19 individuals for taking your time out of your busy schedules today and joining us this evening. I'd also like to thank you guys for putting up with some bizarre behaviors you may have experienced over the past 10 weeks here from your family members. Okay. I'd finally like to thank Mayor Chris Coleman, Fire Chief Tim Butler, Assistant Chief Matt Simpson, Chief Jerome Hamilton, Jesse Kingston, Tim Waynes, Foster John, and everyone for their continued support in the program. The EMS Academy wouldn't be what it is today without it. Okay, so I've been asked today to speak on my journey from EMS Academy graduate to firefighter paramedic for the city of St. Paul. I can vividly remember sitting up here just 2 years ago on this exact same stage, and today I'm standing here, firefighter paramedic for the city of St. Paul. What I and many believe is the ultimate prize, so that's amazing. I've graduated over 2 weeks now from the St. Paul Fire Department's Fire Academy, and have treated my first critical trauma patient and had my first fire, but this all does not feel real. So I'm very blessed to be here, and very glad for this opportunity that was made possible by the EMS Academy. I'll try my best now to get through the rest of this speech here quickly. That's just the first 2 paragraphs. I know we have coffee and cake out there, so I will try to hurry this along. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Dorwin Bishop. I was born December 8, 1993 in Georgetown, Guyana, where I lived for 5 years before moving here to the United States in 1998. When we moved here, we lived in Minneapolis for the first 3 years, for the first 3 months, before we moved to the Summit University neighborhood, where I've lived now for the past 16 years. I've attended several St. Paul public schools, including Webster Elementary, Friends School, J&J Hill Montessori, Capitol Hill Magnet, and Central Senior High, where I graduated in 2012. Before I go any further about myself, I'd just like to take the time now to explain what the EMS Academy is for those of you who might not be familiar with it, and just some of the amazing things that our alumni have gone on to accomplish. So, the St. Paul Fire Academy was an idea that originally came from Pittsburgh during the civil rights movement to train minorities like yourselves to provide care to the patients that they would be taken care of and be able to identify with them. The Academy is an amazing opportunity and opens doors to careers in EMS for young adults of low income, St. Paul households, and it provides an opportunity that would otherwise not be possible. We have people who might still be working in retail or fast food or even be unemployed today that, because of the Academy, are paramedics or EMTs for agencies like Health East, Alumni, North Memorial, St. Paul Fire Department's BLS unit, and now the St. Paul Fire Department. We have individuals who are working inside hospitals like Regions and St. John's, Mercy. We have graduates like Kayla Ludden, Ulysses Sanchez, and Tiana Ross, who have really stepped up this last academy to take a leading role in teaching and mentoring these 19 individuals, and who have also, who did all of that while going through paramedic school at the same time. So, nicely done. The list does not end there. We have alumni who are currently attending the U of M pre-med program to become doctors and physician's assistants. And we have a young man by the name of Donnell Gibson, who recently, this year, received a Meritorious Service Award for his risking his life to save 10 individuals who were in a burning building, and none of which spoke English. So that's just a list of the amazing things some of our alumni have gone on to do. All right.
Now, for my origin story. How did I become Batman? Oops, wrong speech.
I meant to say, how did I hear about the EMS Academy? What made me want to be a firefighter? If you expect me to tell you I was a firefighter since the day I was born, you would be sadly mistaken. In fact, the thought never crossed my mind until I attended the EMS Academy a little over 2 years ago. After graduating high school, I attended St. Paul College in hopes of one day entering the healthcare field. But the thought of another several years of school just seemed tedious. That's when I began searching online for part-time healthcare jobs. At some point, I came across the EMS Academy. I remember it was the last day to register and almost did not apply because it seemed too good to be true. Who would pay you to go to school, I remember thinking. I remember it was the last day to register, and the thought of being an EMT had crossed my mind briefly once before in high school, but the closest institution was over 20 miles away and it was not cheap to attend. Back then, my only way of commute was bus, so I did not want to take the time and money, or spend the time and money in something that I was not sure I wanted to do. The EMS Academy was held right here in the city of St. Paul, the city in which I grew up in, not even 2 miles from where I lived. And once again, they would pay me to attend. It was exactly what I've been looking for and would turn out to be the best decision I'll make in my life. The EMS Academy is based out of Station 51, a retired fire station that now provides BLS transports to citizens of Minnesota and Wisconsin through Regents Hospital, Ramsey County Crisis, and the St. Paul Fire Department. Only those who completed the academy were allowed to work here. It was taught in a paramilitary structure, nothing I had ever experienced before, but seemed familiar with living in a household with parents who ruled a dictatorship. 3 strikes and you were out. Showing up late to class, not doing your homework, and talking like sailors were just some of the ways to get yourself kicked out. Only those who really wanted to be there would make it. Like this class, there were 35 of us to start, and only 16 would graduate beside me. So it's not an easy task. The first half of the day of the EMS Academy is spent in lectures where you went over the chapters assigned to you and worked on homework questions, while the second half of the day was spent practicing the skills. Each individual had a responsibility to both their team and themselves to do well. Every day, one group, like Captain Adams mentioned earlier, was responsible for motivation of the day, while another was responsible for asking a homework question, and the third would answer it. We did everything in a team or as a class with people of all different cultures and backgrounds, as you can see from our current graduates right now. And by the time we would graduate, we would no longer be strangers. We would be a family. Sure, you guys can relate to that. So how did this experience influence my decision to become a St. Paul firefighter? Halfway there, guys. Keep going. All right. Well, as part of our graduation requirement, we have to ride with one of the 12 medic engine companies of St. Paul. I spent the day with Station 18 on University in St. Albans. It was my first time ever at a fire station. When I first arrived, they gave me a tour of the stations, the engine, the bladder, and the medic rig, in addition to all the equipment on the apparatus. It was like I was 5 years old again, fascinated by the big red trucks and the cool-looking toys. The St. Paul Fire Department is unique in that it responds to both the medical and emergencies of our citizens. Throughout the course of the day, we respond to 3 medicals and 1 engine call. The way our patients and bystanders were very grateful for our help and the great job St. Paul Fire does every day left a big impact on me. It was a feeling where you went home at the end of the day, knowing you made a difference in the lives of the patients, family members, and the community. Before I left, I would ask, how do I get a job with St. Paul Fire? And I was told, luckily, that they were taking applications the next year. I would already be an EMT thanks to the EMS Academy, so that was one less thing I had to do. Everyone in the department needed to be an EMT, so I figured to stand out from other applicants, I would need to continue my education and gain my paramedic certification. I would start taking classes the next week, while also beginning to work for the St. Paul Fire Department's BLS unit. By working for the St. Paul Fire Department's BLS unit and riding within the St. Paul Fire Department for medic school, I got my foot in the door of everyday life as a firefighter and saw what a career looked like with St. Paul Fire. We did almost everything together. We cooked, cleaned, ate, ran errands, trained, worked out, volunteered, cleaned, laughed, slept, and responded to emergency situations together. You often hear about the brother and sisterhood of the fire department, the people you go into battle with and have your back no matter how tough things get. The brotherhood is not defined by gender, race, religion, culture, or any other classification. It is a title given to those who have earned it and live up to it daily. Those who are willing to risk a lot to save a lot and help people during their worst times of their lives. To those who prove that they will be by your side in and out of the fire station no matter how tough things may have become. It was this brotherhood that I got to witness firsthand through my mentorship with St. Paul Fire, and it was something that reinforced my decision that I was making the right career choice. Now for the Fire Academy. My experience of this was by far the most challenging thing I have ever done in my life. I went in with little to no fire experience and knowledge of the equipment. We were required to master and exceed Fire 1 and 2, emergency medicine, and hazmat ops based on the department's SOPs, Regents EMS guidelines, and practices recognized in the fire service today. We were also required to maintain an 80% average in all weekly written and practical exams, in addition to completing a strenuous physical fitness component every day, such as running several miles, performing high-intensity interval training workouts, and running what seemed to be a never-ending number of stairs in turnout gear, air tank, and a 50-pound hose bundle. Every day, we're evaluated on attitude, teamwork, and adaptability to the physical and mental activities. We were evaluated every day on whether we wanted to be there, and those who did not meet the standards would not make it through the rigorous 16 weeks. When I, or more importantly, my body, thought I would fail, I often visited Station 51 for encouragement. My peers always spoke of how they were proud of me and looked to me for words of encouragement. Some even saw me as a symbol of hope of one day following in my footsteps. Both the students and employees of Station 51 show up every day to work hard, no matter how challenging the task may be or what obstacles they may face in their everyday lives. Everyone always had a positive outlook on life and did what was best for them, for the team, not themselves. They, like me, were given an opportunity in life and would put 150% of their effort into it. I had refused to let them down and could not help but be motivated to give everything I had and then some. 16 long weeks later, I would take the oath of office, receive my badge, and graduate a firefighter paramedic for the city of St. Paul. So, almost there. In conclusion, some people are born into the fire service because of generations of family members who have served. Others have a desire to serve their community after military service. For me, it was the EMS Academy. 2 years ago, I had no intentions of pursuing a career as a firefighter or a paramedic. Now I can't see myself doing anything else, nor where I would be today without it. Although there were a lot of long hours studying, late nights, and early mornings, numerous hours without family, friends, or a social life, these past 2 years have been the most rewarding and the most fun I've ever had. Confucius said, if you find a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what this experience has been for me and what I look forward to the next 30 years of my career. So thank you once again, everyone in attendance, for listening. I hope my story was worth sitting through. I hope I may have inspired some of you today to realize what I have and never stop working hard in life because the possibilities are endless. So thank you once again. My final line is say, let there be cake, but I think we still have some more to go. So we'll wait for that.
Jeremy Berger.
Patrick Carr.
Ivan Dela Cruz.
Eric Inanya.
Kirsten Gorman.
Gacy Hay.
Alexandra Harrington.
Maceo Henderson.
Matthew Hessler.
The next one is not here with us. Haley Jado.
Madison Leah.
Tu Lee.
Vivian Martin.
Marianne Monger.
Chuchi Tao.
John Thao is not with us tonight.
Dio Zafki Varela.
Pajia Yang.
Elizabeth Zimkowitz.
Graduates, before we start the oath of office, I'd like to just pass on my personal congratulations to you. And on behalf of the 500 members of the St. Paul Fire Department, welcome to the EMS family. If you would raise your right hand and repeat the oath of office after me. It's a rather archaic oath, but it's been used for a long, long time, so we're going to stick with the oath. Be it pledged as an emergency medical technician, I will honor all physical and judicial laws. I will follow that regimen which, according to my ability and judgment, I consider for the benefit of patients. Should we go through that a little slow? I will follow that regimen which, according to my ability and judgment, I consider for the benefit of patients. I shall abstain from whatever is damaging and mischievous, nor shall I suggest any such counsel. Into whatever homes I enter, I will go into them for the benefit of only the sick and injured, never revealing what I see or hear in the lives of men and women unless required by law. I shall also share my medical knowledge with those who may benefit from what I have learned. I will serve unselfishly and continuously in order to make a better world for all. While I continue to keep this goal, this oath honored, may it be granted to me to enjoy life and the practice of the art respected by all humanity. Should I trespass or violate this oath, may the reverse be my fate. Thank you. You can put your hands down. That was way worse than the FISDAP exam, I'm sure. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to present to you the summer class of 2015 St. Paul EMS Academy. You guys can have a seat if you want. I just want to point out a couple of things. The EMS Academy, if you think of youth, a bridge from youth to firefighter, the City of St. Paul, Inver Hills, the St. Paul Public Schools, a lot of partners have created a three-step process, if you will, a three-step process to go from St. Paul youth to St. Paul firefighter. The first phase of that is at the EMS Academy. Graduates from the EMS Academy then can go on to work for the St. Paul Fire Department in the BLS transport unit. So we're transporting patients from the hospital back to their nursing home or care facility. We have over 24 people that are graduates from the EMS Academy working in the BLS unit right now. They receive more than minimum wage for their work. They work part-time and they continue their education. The people in the light blue shirts down here are part of our BLS unit. Phase 3 is a 3-year internship where we take BLS transport unit personnel, ask them to attend college to go to paramedic school and firefighter 1 and 2, and when they get done with that apprenticeship, they take the firefighter test and they are promoted to the rank of firefighter paramedic in St. Paul. I'd like to introduce, and that third phase is called the Fire Medic Cadet Program. Just today we hired our first 4. We have 3 of them in the audience. I just wanted to take a minute to recognize them, not to take away from the EMS Academy graduation. But Kayla Ludden, Tiana Ross, and Nick Wilson, could you guys just stand up and let the audience recognize your efforts? Thank you very much, and congratulations on your promotion to Fire Medic Cadet. That concludes our ceremony today. Thank you, families, for being here. Thank you, friends of the EMS Academy and all supporters. And we have cake and refreshments outside, and certainly ample time to take pictures and congratulate the graduates individually. Thank you.